Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. Another video, and transfer chaos looms over the January transfer window, plus a very big result for Spurs last night. Unpredictable Spurs. Are they back in a top four race? I think they are. I don't think you can ever count Spurs off because they're just so unpredictable. They can grind results out. But let's talk about the transfer race first. And it's all going off, and there's one club causing it. It's Chelsea. I keep saying this, over the next 18 months. Look, I didn't know, when I said this a few months ago, I didn't realise Man United and Liverpool were about to get purchased. And I suppose that makes my club, Man United, very interesting as well. But I did say when Chelsea got bought and Potter came in, that the next 18 months for Chelsea would be very interesting. We got a glimpse of it in the summer. They're just aggressive in the transfer market, and it's causing a problem for Arsenal with Mudryk. Obviously Enzo Fernandez looks like he's not going to Chelsea now, but they just moved to the next target, and this is not a surprise, and it's generating a very, very interesting January transfer window. Now for Chelsea, it's about building something, isn't it? I think Chelsea, we're doing the watch along tonight, Chelsea Man City. Make sure you tune in tonight at that 8 o'clock. I think it kicks off. Looking forward to that. But I think Chelsea are going to drop more points, and not necessarily tonight, but over the next few weeks. I don't think they'll get top four. So I think Chelsea, the project probably starts next season. Anything else this season's a bonus. But we got a glimpse in the summer. They tried to get Rafinha, who ended up going to Barcelona, but was going to Arsenal. Then Chelsea hijacked that. And they have this strategy of doing that. If they see an opportunity, they don't just let a club take it, they'll jump in. And this is happening with Mudryk now, whereby Arsenal have basically expected to get this deal done for quite a while. I think even the player wants to come to Arsenal. I tweeted it yesterday. I said at the end of the day, if Mudryk chooses Chelsea over Arsenal, it's a money thing. And it is a money thing, because why would you go to Chelsea, who probably won't be in the Champions League next year, over Arsenal, where you could win a Premier League in your first 3 or 4 months and you're going to play Champions League football next year? I think it does come down to money, but it probably comes more down to money from Shakhtar, the next side, really, because they want about 80 million. I think Arsenal want to pay about 55. And the problem is that Chelsea come into the race and go, well, we'll give you 70. And then suddenly it's like, well, Arsenal are in a bidding war they don't really want to be in. The player probably favours Arsenal, but it's a bit like Gakpo. Gakpo would have gone to Man United in the summer. We didn't pay up. He's now a Liverpool player. Football players aren't football fans. You know, if you ask a Chelsea fan to go and be an Arsenal fan, they probably won't do it, and vice versa. But a player will go to a Premier League club if that's the club that the club wants to sell to. And I think Chelsea, I don't know. I think we're hearing that Arsenal probably will win that race now, but you wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea won it, because they'll just spend more than Arsenal want to spend. And it's very frustrating. Whether you're Arsenal, Spurs, Manchester United, whoever, it's very frustrating if you want a player and Chelsea get involved, because they will be aggressive. But ultimately, if you're a Chelsea fan, it's very exciting. It doesn't always work, though. We'll have to see what happens with Mudryk, but it doesn't always work. Chelsea are about to bring Badiashile in. There's another player they're going to bring in, Santos. Those deals are going to happen very, very quickly. I expected them to get Enzo Fernandez. Apparently, from Fabrizio Romano and a few other people, that's not going to happen last night. This was announced. That's not going to happen now. It was announced last night. What a signing Enzo Fernandez would have been for Chelsea, by the way. They need to reinvigorate that midfield. You go and get Enzo Fernandez. I mean, forget the World Cup for a minute. He's already one of the most exciting midfielders in European football. And it looked like they were going to pay the release clause to Benfica, which was 120 million euros. It's now become clear that Chelsea didn't want to pay the release clause. They wanted to pay about 80 million, to which Benfica have said no. So that's a deal that's back in the summer now, and the competition will start. I mean, hopefully my club will get involved in that, but it's not a deal that Chelsea are looking to do now. But they don't. The thing about Chelsea is this is what I mean about January transfer chaos. Chelsea won't just go, oh, right, we didn't get the Enzo Fernandez deal. I wouldn't be surprised if they bid for Jude Bellingham. Like, they're just... They'll just do what they want to do, and they'll try it on. And some people would say it's a very haphazard approach, but it makes it interesting. They're also being linked to Caicedo from Brighton, who I think would be a very good signing. And look, the obvious connection there is Graham Potter, Brighton. I and many other United fans would like Caicedo at Manchester United in the summer. I think Liverpool fans would as well. He looks a really good player who can play in a good system. To be honest with you, this is not, if he ends up going to Chelsea, I can't sit there as a United fan and say, oh God, he should have come to us. It's a very logical deal for Chelsea, because Graham Potter was the Brighton coach who gave him his chance. So I think Caicedo to Chelsea makes a lot of sense. It'd be a lot cheaper. and he would be a good signing, but it depends whether that's what Chelsea want to settle on. From Enzo Fernandez to Caicedo, they might feel it's not glamorous enough, and they might think, well, actually, we want De Jong or we want Bellingham. So look, keep your eye on Chelsea. It's going to be very, very interesting. I've got to applaud Chelsea. They're sort of turning football into what I want it to be, and I know I might be in the minority here. But the January transfer window actually should be utilised a lot better than it is. I mean, for years, it's always been an opportunity at United for the Glazers and whoever the director of football is to say, well, there's no value in the January transfer market. It's just desperate clubs doing desperate things. But I don't think it is. I think Spurs showed it with Kulusevski and Bentancur. That got them top four. I think Liverpool showed it with Diaz. That improved them massively. I think we showed it with Bruno a couple of years ago, that we got top four because of it. All January signings, and I think you can do good business in January. And I think Chelsea going into this January transfer window being aggressive, I think it, and it's not like Chelsea can win the league and they've got an outside chance of top four. It's not like, I don't think Chelsea are buying players in January because they're desperate to salvage something from the season. I think it's also about get some players in, get them integrated for next season. So I think it worked. I think this is good, and it'd be interesting to see how other clubs react to it. We know Arsenal are trying to buy. We know Liverpool already have bought. I mean, Man City probably don't need to. Newcastle, I think they've got to add a couple of players if they want to get top four. So, and obviously, well, United have got no money, but it's interesting to see what's going to happen there. And watch this space, because I think Chelsea are capable of anything, really. What I don't think they're capable of is top four. We had some results last night. Obviously, interesting results down the bottom end of the league. Forest beating Southampton. I said yesterday, I think that Southampton are cut adrift and they're going to end up going down. In fact, if we can just show you what the bottom of the league looks like at the moment, as you can see there, Southampton just don't look rescuable, do they? Forest have got themselves out of it a little bit. It's going to be interesting down near the bottom, but Southampton at home losing to Forest, I just don't see a way. As soon as Hasenhüttl went, I thought that was the end. I didn't think the replacement was good enough. The replacement looked like a championship manager, and I think that's where he'll be managing Southampton next year. Obviously, Wolves were winning against Villa. They ended up getting a draw. But look, at the top of the table, a very, very, very strong win for Spurs. Probably, the thing about Spurs is when you expect them to lose, they tend to get a result, and when you think they should get a result, they don't. Like, they lost to Villa and then they smashed Palace. They're just a very unpredictable team, Spurs, and of course they're in the top four race. Their next Premier League game is actually Arsenal. We'll be doing that next week on Sunday. But I mean, don't write Spurs off, but I don't see. I mean, Chelsea are in an even worse position. I don't see Spurs getting top four. I think they're so hit and miss that I think for Spurs to get top four, they would need this Premier League to be a little bit more. The top six lose a lot, and I don't think the top six do lose a lot. I think even United, we've fallen into this groove of becoming quite consistent at winning. Obviously, Arsenal and Man City are. So Newcastle are up there as well. I still think Liverpool will get involved, although that Van Dijk injury could be quite significant for them. And we've spoken about that as well. I think it does come down to injuries. I mean, Chelsea are buying because they've got a new manager, but they're also buying because they've had a lot of injury problems. Reece James, Kante, Fofana, lots of injuries there. So, and there's a lot of players that have been playing since the start of August, 3 times a week, and they've been to a World Cup, and then people are surprised that we're starting to get, muscle injuries, which I think, it's almost like tossing a coin in the air and seeing how it lands, because if Liverpool get 4 or 5 injuries, they won't get top 4. But the same thing for United, the same thing for Spurs, the same thing for anybody else. Obviously, the advantage for Newcastle is they don't have European football, and a lot of their players didn't go to the World Cup. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it works out. I don't think Spurs' result changes anything for me. I don't think they will get top 4, but that you can't write them off. They're Spurs. You write them off and they start winning 3 or 4 in a row. And that game against Arsenal a week on Sunday is going to be huge, isn't it? North London derby. So we'll see what happens. But very exciting time at the moment. Very exciting time. Transfers galore. Chaos. I mean, Mudryk probably will end up at Arsenal. Where will Chelsea go if they're looking for a player like that? Will they then go for João Felix and upset United, who can't afford him? This January transfer window, obviously it's about the next 4 months, but I think it's also about next season as well. And I think if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be looking at it like that. Obviously, you want to see improvement between now and the end of the season, but I think this is about massive renovation at a football club that is in need of massive renovation, and I think they're utilising the transfer windows as much as they can, and that is why they're being aggressive. And I mean, I've got to say, I think Badiashile looks good. I just think that their centre-back recruitment's been shit. I mean, Fofana, what a stupid deal that was. I mean, he is literally injury prone, and they gave Leicester, what, 60, 70 million? And obviously it wasn't even a bloody Tuchel signing. So they've got a lot of renovation to do at Chelsea, but they're aggressively going about it. And obviously the race for top four is interesting. Talking to Chelsea, tonight, live on the channel, tune in, watch along, Chelsea, Man City, massive game in relation to the race for top four, but also, more importantly, the race for the title. I fancy Man City to win that tonight, but, you know, maybe we're going to start to see a different Chelsea. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all later. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Take care.